everybody, it's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for January's round of my TBR game, which is called TBR Campaign. So if this is your first time watching TBR Campaign, I'm not going to go through all of the rules and gameplay and everything. I will instead direct you to go and watch the video I made where I explain all of that for you. It, along with the playlist for the last two rounds of TBR Campaign, are in the description below. This is the third round of this new TBR game. I did have another game that I played previously, which was Roll of Reads, and I will link the playlist for that in the description below as well. So if you want to go and check out some more fun TBR game stuff, then please go ahead and do that. The way that I'm going to structure today's video is I'm going to first go through everything from last month and check whether or not I completed my TBR. If I completed my TBR, then I will get to roll a reward wheel and have a reward. If I did not, then I'll have to roll a punishment wheel and get a punishment. Either of these outcomes will potentially affect the gameplay for this round, so we do need to do that first. I will then do the roll, whatever it is, and then I'm going to talk you through a few things that I have to read this month: buddy reads, read-alongs, readathons, etc. And then I'll do the actual game and select the books and talk to you about them. All of those things are time-stamped, so if you want to jump ahead to anything that you're interested in and skip through the stuff you're not so interested in, please obviously go ahead and do that. But without further ado, let's go through last month's TBR and see where we end up. Roll number one, I got a travel card, and the travel card said that I needed to steal from someone else's TBR. I did select Reading with Merb, and I chose Love Light Farms. However, the only way I could access that particular book was through Scribd, and I'm not a huge audiobook reader. I was already doing an audiobook and I just didn't feel like I really wanted to have this one as an audiobook. So I decided to switch out the book that I had stolen off Merb's TBR for a book that I decided to steal off Brittany Loves Readings channel. I should just say that all of the people who I talk about in this video, their links will be in the description below, and you should go and check them all out because they're all fantastic. So I looked through at Brittany's TBR for December, and one of the books that she had on her TBR was a book that I happen to also have in my collection, and that is Midnight in Everwood by K.M.A. Kuznow. This was a present for my birthday from Ash, from Ash's Adventures in Reading, so thank you very much, Ash. As you can see, I am about 2/3 of the way through the book. It is Thursday today, Thursday the 28th, so I definitely will be able to finish this by the end of the month, so I'm counting this one as having been read. For roll number two, I got another travel card, which meant I had to go back 2 places, and I got another travel card, so I had to do 2 travel cards. The first travel card was to read a library book or a borrowed book. So for this one, I selected Dragonhaven by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Rainwild Chronicles, which is part of the Realm of the Elderlings series. I borrowed this from my friend AJ, and I did read this one, so yay. Sorry, that was a mistake. I actually had that one for Set Somewhere You've Never Been, and then for the one for a borrowed book, I had Beach Read by Emily Henry. But they're both borrowed and they're both set somewhere I've never been, so actually they work for both. This one I borrowed off my friend Michelle, and I did read this one. Then I landed on an orc, and for that I had to read horror, gothic, dark academia, or thriller mystery, and for this one I chose As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. Again, as you can see, I did start this book. I'm not very far into it at all. I'm only up to page 37. I put this one down because the Hemisphere Christmas Games readathon was starting, and I wanted to read some Christmas books for that. But I honestly think I'll fly through this. I think I'll get it read by the end of the month as well. I do have 2.5 days left, so I do think I'll be able to manage that one. So I'm counting this one as read. Then I had a battle square, and the book that won the battle was Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I have read this one. And then when I got to the end square, I basically had to choose any book that I wanted, and what I chose was Up on Horseshoe Hill by Penelope Jarnew, which I did read. So I'm saying that I managed to read all of the books, or nearly read all of the books. I've at least started all of the books. So I think that means I get to have a reward. So I'm going to screen record the reward and then we'll take it from there. All right, so let's go. All right, so I got a really awesome reward, and I got that if I roll a 1, then I can re-roll. So it means that I don't have to do a punishment if I roll a 1. So that's awesome. I'm very excited about that one. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is tell you the books that I need to read or want to try to get to. And obviously I will try to fit these into the TBR, but I do have some buddy reads and my book club, read along and all of that sort of thing that I do need to fit in. So regardless of whether they end up on the TBR or not, I will need to read them. So the first one is the Last to Read book club, which is the book club that I run with Ellie and Lana, and that is The Fae Keeper by H.E. Edgman. This is the second book in the Witch King series. I believe that it's what it's called. The book follows a young person who is a witch, and he is trans, and before he transitioned he was engaged to the Prince of Fairyland. Basically he wanted to transition. He didn't feel like he fit in. Witches aren't very well treated in that particular world, so for various different reasons like that he left, transitioned, and went through a lot of different things. He thinks it's all done, and then the prince, whose name I've totally forgotten, comes to find him and bring him back to Fairyland so that he can be his betrothed again and they can get married. And it's about what happens when he goes back. It's about the relationships between witches and fae. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well written and really fun and interesting. So that's The Witch King. I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen in The Fae Keeper, but I'm excited to read on and see what's happening. So that is the Last to Read book club book that we're reading in January. Then, as part of the Graceling read along, which I'm doing with Cara from Wild Book Garden and Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany, we are continuing the Graceling series. So the last book, as far as I know, it's the final book, has come out. It came out in November, and we are going to be reading it in January. So that is Sea Sparrow by Kristen Cashore. I'm excited to read it. I've loved everything that we've read so far in the series, so I'm anticipating really enjoying this one as well. And then Paige from Pages with Paige and I are doing a project, a vlogging project throughout next year, and we're reading a bunch of different books for that. And the first one that we're going to pick up in January is 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. This is a feminist retelling of the Trojan War. I'm not sure exactly what about the Trojan War, but it says from the Trojan women whose fates now lie in the hands of the Greeks, to the Amazon princess who fought Achilles on their behalf, to Penelope awaiting the return of Odysseus, to the 3 goddesses whose feud started it all. These are the stories of the women embroiled in the legendary war. So I'm really excited to read this one and definitely need to fit it in next month. And then my friend Michelle and I are going to be buddy reading Babel by R.F. Kuang. And then Ellie from Elgro Books is running a read-along of the Bargainer series by Laura Thalassa. She's starting that in January, and I would really like to join in. I've been hearing her and a bunch of other people talk about the Bargainer series for quite a while, so I'd like to give them a try. The first book is Rhapsodic, so I really want to try and fit this on the TBR as well. And then finally, Pris from Pris Peruses is running a read-along of the Percy Jackson series, the first Percy Jackson series, starting in January. We're starting with Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, so I'd really like to try and fit that one on as well. So there's quite a few that I need to fit in somehow, or want to try and fit in somehow. Well, it'll be interesting. We'll see how we go. There's also 2 readathons that I'd like to try and fit in somehow. The first one is the Whodunit Readathon, and this is being run by Danielle from Book Chara, Naomi from, I can't remember the channel name, but it'll be below, sorry about that, and Paige from Pages with Paige. The idea is that all 3 of these people do TBR games. It's based around Clue or Cluedo. You have to try and figure out what might be in the little case file. So I have got all of this stuff written in my journal. So I've got the clue stuff here. You have to do it throughout the month, so I can't 100% plan in advance, but I can have some ideas. And then Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany, her Patreon, she is running a readathon called Get Shit Done. So there is a bingo board for that, which is this one here I've put into the journal. There's a bunch of different prompts for the bingo board. I'm going to try and get all of these done, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, that's all the stuff I need to consider when I'm doing this TBR. So hopefully the rolls are nice to me and I can fit it all in. But without anything else that I need to discuss right now before we get started, let's actually go in and do the game. So let's go start. All right, we're using Emily again, my D&D figurine. Let's get our D20. Okay, and remembering that if I roll a 1, I can roll again. That's only if I roll 1, 1. If I roll more than 1, 1, then yeah. Anyway. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. 5, 6. It's a battle square. And roll number 1, I got a battle square. So the way that this works is that I choose 2 books. One that I really, really want to read, that I'm really excited about reading, and the other is a book that I'm less excited about reading. So I haven't picked any books that I really don't want to read because I'm trying not to own books I really don't want to read, but I have picked books that maybe I'm less interested in at the moment, or I'm intimidated by, or what have you. So I will select those books now, and then I'm going to roll a d20 twice, and we will see which thing wins. Okay, so the 2 books that I've chosen for books that I really, really want to read / have to read, I have gone with 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. So that's a want to read. And then the books that I've selected that I'm not necessarily wanting to read during January is Fragile Things by Neil Gaiman. So it's not that I don't want to read this book. I absolutely love Neil Gaiman and I definitely want to read all of his work. This was given to me by my parents a couple of Christmases ago, and I'm really keen to look into it, but I'm just not a really big short story reader. So I've kind of been putting it off just because, yeah, it's not necessarily my thing, reading short stories. But my parents got this for me for Christmas, and I do love Neil Gaiman, so I do really need to give it a shot. And then to roll my dice, again, I have the oven tray with a tea towel on it. I'm going to roll my larger d20 twice. First roll is going to be the books I really want to read, and the second roll is going to be the book that I don't want to read as much. So, roll with my right hand because I'm right-handed. 11. Okay, so that's for that one. It could go either way from here. Could easily get well above 11, or I could get well below. So let's see. 3. I promise it's a 3. So there you go. The first book on my TBR is 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. All right, let's go do roll number 2. Roll number 2, whoops, is 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Another battle square, and that means I have to go back 2 places, and I have to have a battle and then pick a travelling card. All right. And as you just saw, I landed on a battle square again, which means that I have to do the same thing I just did, pick 2 books, one I do want to read, one I don't necessarily want to read right now, and roll the d20 twice, see which one wins. But because I had gotten that square already, I had to go back 2 squares, and then I landed on a travelling card. So I'm going to do the battle square first, and then I will pull out the travelling card and see what's there. All right. So let me go and select books for that. And for this book battle, I decided to go again with Fragile Things because I do want to read it, and yeah, but maybe it's not a priority still. So it's a don't necessarily want to read at the moment. And then the do want to read, need to get on the TBR, I'm going with Sea Sparrow by Kristen Cashore. Roll number 1 will be Sea Sparrow. Roll number 2 will be Fragile Things. So let's roll the dice. first roll, we got an 8. So again, it could go either way, but an 8 is lower, so I'm likely to get something higher, but we'll see. You might not. 14. All right. So it's decided. I am reading Fragile Things by Neil Gaiman. Not sure how many stories there are. Quite a few, but a lot of them are really small. So I think it'll be good to read like a story maybe every day or something like that. It's 27, so that's just a little bit less than one story a day. So I reckon that's doable. And now I need to do a travel card. So I have the travel cards here. Give them a bit of a shuffle. All right. So I'm going to pick this one here. A new to you author. Okay. That actually works out perfectly because I can put in Babel by R.F. Kuang. I've never read anything by R.F. Kuang, so that's perfect. I really want to read this book. I'm just going to read the blurb to you. It says, an act of translation is always an act of betrayal. Oxford, 1836. The city of dreaming spires. It is the centre of all knowledge and progress in the world, and at its heart is Babel. Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, the tower from which all the power of the empire flows. Orphaned in Canton and brought to England by a mysterious guardian, Robin Swift thought Babel a paradise, until it became a prison. But can a student stand against an empire? I think it sounds absolutely amazing, and yeah, I'm excited to read it. So that was roll number 2. Let's now go and do roll number 3. Roll number 3 is a 5. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh man, it's another travelling square, so I have to go back 2 places to another travelling square. And I got travelling card. So I went back 2 places and that got travelling card again. I realised that I maybe should have done it so that anytime I have to go back, because of the same symbol twice thing, then it kind of resets. And also that the going back, I then don't have to add on to that. But either way, I would have had to have gone back 2 places, however it went this time, so that's fine, but next time I'll change it. Anyhow, I have to choose another travelling card, so give them another shuffle. Alright. Let's go one at the near the beginning. Go for that one. It's Steal from someone else's TBR again. Let me know if you think that I should take these travelling cards out each month, each time I do it, and then so the cards get smaller and smaller, and so that I get through and do different cards. But for now, I haven't done that, so I'm going to do Steal someone else's TBR. So I did see that Becca from the Becca Fowl has started her own TBR game, which is called TBR Off, I think, which is called The Great Bookish TBR Off. It is based on the Great British Bake Off TV show. I've decided to sort of cheat a little bit. One of the books she put on her TBR was Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. I'm not up to that one. I've only read the first book. I'm up to Kingdom of the Cursed. Yes, Kingdom of the Cursed, which is the second one. Honestly, I've been uncertain as to whether I actually realistically wanted to continue with the series. I mean, I did enjoy the first one, but I'm not sure if I loved it. But I feel like this is prompting me to pick it up. Seems like a good excuse. I wasn't 100% sure how I felt, so I'll read the next one and see how I get on. So that was travelling card number 1 for this roll, and then we have number 2. So let's give it a quick shuffle again. And we'll select one from here. Read a book for the cover. Okay. I feel like this might be cheating a little bit, but I'm going to go with Sea Sparrow because I do think these have absolutely stunning covers and it needs to go on the TBR. So it's probably not why I would have picked it up under different circumstances, but I think it's a beautiful cover, so it still works. So we're going to go with Sea Sparrow. Let's go now and do roll number 4. Okay, let's roll again. Is it 12? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a human. For roll number 4, I landed on a human. And for human, I need to read a contemporary or romance or women's fiction. So I decided to go with The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is a book that I'm going to be reading for a vlog that I'm doing, so it works out perfectly. This is a romance. It is a fake dating romance, and to be honest with you, the premise sounds like something I probably am not going to love that much. But I do want to give it a try and see what all the fuss is about with Christina Lauren. I've never read from any of their works before, so yeah, that's a book that I've decided to go with. So that was roll number 4, and now we have roll number 5. Next roll, a 1, but I get to roll again, is a 3. 1, 2, 3. I already did the, yeah, I've already done that. Another travelling card, a lot of cards this time. Okay, so we got another travelling card. Let's shuffle them up again. Oops, that one is not going in the mix. Alright, and go with that one. BookTube favourite. Okay, BookTube favourite. What I've decided to do is I've decided to go with Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, because that way I get to join Pris's read-along for this book at least, and also it is a book that Ellie has recommended to me a number of times, so she will be very happy to see that I'm reading it. Plus it's extremely popular on BookTube, so I think it's a favourite. Let's roll again. Alright, roll, next roll. 11, this should get me over the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got to end. Alright, awesome. Okay, so as you just saw, I got to the end. Now when I get to the end, I do need to select a book, but it can be any book that I want. So I decided that this was the perfect opportunity to include The Fay Keeper by H.E. Edgman, so that is what I'm going to read. So that's my TBR. That is my TBR campaign for the month of January. I feel like I did pretty well. I feel like I got a lot of books on there that I needed to get on there and books that I would like to get on there. The only book that I didn't get to include was Rhapsodic, which is the first book in the Bargainer series, which is the read-along that Ellie's running. So we'll see how we go.
It's editing Mel. I'm just jumping in at the end of this video because I realised there were things that I needed to discuss about the video you just watched. So the first one is that I totally forgot to talk about the arc that I want to read in January, or need to read in January. So that is The Hotel Witch by Jessica Miller, I'm pretty sure. And this is an arc that I got through NetGalley. It is the first arc I've been approved for, and I really want to make sure that my rating is decent. So I do want to read it and review it in January. I believe it comes out on the 28th of February, so the deadline for NetGalley is sometime early February. So I will be reading that hopefully sometime in January, but if not, very early February. The other thing that I realised after I had filmed is that I could just say that Rhapsodic is stolen off someone else's TBR, because it will definitely be on Ellie's TBR since she is running the read-along. I'm not 100% sure, like I said, how much I really want to read Kingdom of the Cursed. For this particular TBR, I think it makes sense to take that one off, so sorry Becca, and to add Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. It's the first book in the Bargainer series, because I did want to do that read-along with Ellie, and it will definitely be on her TBR.
But anyway, that's my TBR. Like I said, plus The Fay Keeper, plus The Unhoneymooners, and plus Percy Jackson. So it's quite a big TBR, I think, really. And I think that's everything that I needed to talk with you about today. If you have any thoughts on the books that I've chosen, the game that I'm playing, please comment all that below. I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me a little like footpath kind of emoji, because I had the traveling cards quite a few times today. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.